we've just been kind of starting these, but I used to do like a wee hello and welcome.
I
don't know, man. Fuck that.
Aye, let's just go.
Let's just go. I'm just going to make sure I am in frame. Everybody's in frame. But anyway, man, as we're saying, off mic, strange that we've known each other for a year, spoke to each other, but just cause of fucking COVID, man, it's just been
it's not been able to happen. Yeah, exactly. So it's a pleasure to meet you finally, bro. like, honestly, like shit.
What are you going to do with
it?
I mean, I've got so many questions, and I think like we've got many a running joke between me and Matt, but one of them is that we ask the first question and then the rest of them get the windy.
Right, okay. Yeah, one of them.
I get sidetracked pretty easily here, you know what I mean?
End up in a conversation, but I mean, I know a lot about you recent sort of like the music and stuff like that. I've got Bemz, but you're Jubemi.
Yeah, but have it as Bemz, but because I know you, like the only people who call me Bemz are people that I don't really know like that, and like it would feel weird you calling me Bemz. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, yeah, you can call me Jubemi, but everyone else who reads that, Bemz is
just
fine,
in case you had an alter ego, mate. And
no, well, I mean I do, but like this is a general conversation, though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
So sure, man.
Yeah, so
sure,
I think
like I would be like really interested to hear about how you like go on in music. Like, what was your journey, and like, you know, how did you end up like basically like the fucking rap boss of Glasgow? You know, like
shit. That sounds weird. Hearing that. Yeah.
Better not be producing anything for Loki anytime soon, mate.
But seriously, like, come on. I mean, I think like even Loki would say that. Is this bad to say that people have got little interest in listening to white people rap? I mean, fuck, man.
Well, listen, Loki, if you're hearing this, bro, jump on a track with me, please.
Everybody wants to hear Loki. I'm joking. I think like for me, and it's probably been for like an ignorant place, but when I first heard your music, I was literally like pure, I can't believe that there's a rapper of this quality in Scotland, never mind like in the south side of Glasgow. You know what I mean? As much as like Steggy G and Loki and guys like that, you listen to it and it's an art form and they're good at what they're doing. It's just not for me. You know, I've just never really got into it, but I was like, fuck, man, like, it's like, Sean, listen to this guy rap, man. This is like fucking legit, like proper. Listen to this guy's voice. I can, you know, it's probably one of the first times outside of the, you know, like Biggie, Tupac, Jay-Z, where you're actually like, I can hear the quality of this guy's rapping here. Do you know what I mean? Because I can hear a singing voice, mate. If I hear somebody singing, they've got a good voice. It's like, oh, listen to her voice, listen to his voice. But don't think I've ever listened to a local rapper and been like, listen to that voice, man.
Yeah, no,
and you can hear it in your speaking voice as well. But how did you get going? Like,
so do you want me to start from the very beginning?
Let's go for it, man. Let's do it.
So like I've always kind of I always loved music. Like music is something that's very, very big in my culture, in my family and everything like that. And it used to be me and my older brother. We always used to just kind of like make like shitty raps and all that, you know what I mean? Like it was nothing special, you know? But growing up, I actually wanted to be an English teacher. Like that was actually, as a young child, that was what I wanted to be. Like my dad wanted me to be like a doctor and all them things there. Do you know what I mean? It's like a typical African parent, you know, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be this. And I'm like, yeah, dead that. I don't even like blood. Do you know what I mean? And fuck the police, innit? You know what I mean? Like, so, but it wasn't until I moved to Stranraer and, you know, I'm just in Stranraer and it just started off as a bit of fun. Like I remember a guy, what's called Kieran Rankin, if you're listening to this, big him up, innit? But he was the first person that I knew that had a MacBook Pro. Do you know what I mean? Like he had a MacBook. Like, bro, I'm talking with like 14, 15 and that, and this guy's got a MacBook, and I'm like, rah. And then this song came out. What was it called? Strume, A Laws on Dance. And is it Kanye? Yeah, Kanye West had done a rap remix to it. And I was like, I can do that. Do you know what I mean? And they were like, right, go for it. Do you know what I mean? So we went around to his house one day and he, like, no mic, no nothing. Like, we didn't have a clue about it. And we recorded like a remix over that beat. And it's still on it's still on YouTube right now, and I'm trying my hardest to get it on. Bro,
who's getting a login for the account,
it's man? Terrible. It is like, it's so terrible, man. But off the back of that, it was just like, you know, I put it out, and again, it was for banter. Do you know what I mean? Like, like it's one thing I would like to state is like when I first started music, it was always just fun. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't anything that I kind of thought, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna be a rapper. Do you know what I mean? That was just like, yo, I can write lyrics. Let's just go for it, innit? Do you know what I mean? And so we've done a few tracks and that, and yeah, bro, like I said, they're fucking terrible. Do you know what I mean? Like, and bro, I'm in Stranraer. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's interesting to hear. It's interesting to hear a black man say that it took him to get to Stranraer.
Yeah, bro, literally, innit? And I'm like, fuck it.
Stranraer, like the hip hop hub, or like Europe or something. Like,
bro, this is what's gonna be so funny. One day I make it big, and they're gonna be like, where did you start? And I'm like, Stranraer, Strand Boogie. Do you know what I mean? Like. But off the back of that, I met this other guy called D, and he was from Newton Stewart, but he had like a proper setup. Do you know what I mean? Like his mum and dad had turned a shed out the back door to like a studio for him. Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
So I used to, bro, traveling from Stranraer to Newton Stewart was good just to make music and stuff like that, and that was good for a while. And then shit went left between me and him or whatever. But anyways. That went on for like 4 years, and then I moved up to Ayr, and I met a lot of people. And bro, even my closest friends would tell you I couldn't rap in front of people. Do you know what I mean? Like
really,
bro. I shit you not. Like we would be in house parties and they'll be like, "What's called rap to us?" And bro, I'd have to put a blanket over my head, like no word of a lie. Like bro, I'd put it over and then I'll just go, and then. But see, as soon as the blanket came up, they're like, I'm like, no, I'm not trying to do that. But yeah, in Ayr was when I kind of realized that, oh shit, maybe I am actually good at this. Does that make sense? Like, but then even at that point in time, like I was still just rapping about like dumb shit, like, look at me, got all this money, I'm fucking all these bitches. Do you know what I mean? Like just stupid shit. Do you know what I mean? And then,
do you feel like that hip hop has so many historical bad examples of that stuff the way, because if you look at the origins there and like where it began, it was almost like this point in the sort of mid 2000s where it lost its roots, where it was just all about like money.
Yeah. It's basically flexing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, look at me, I've got the nicest car, the nicest this, the nicest that. And by all means, like obviously back then I didn't really clock it. Do you know what I mean? But now when I'm older, in my older head, I'm like, yo, if you want to rap about that, rap about it, but you have to be living it. Does that make sense?
So many people that we see now that have like the private jet and it's like a set. And
this is what I'm saying.
It's
stupid. It just doesn't make sense.
And see now when I'm like on YouTube and I see like sort of young rappers and they're doing that, I'm kind of like, oh man, I don't know. I feel like kids, or like younger generations of people, they would rather that you were like, I don't have any of this and I'm doing my art. Here's my actual story. Like you don't need to hire the clothes or the like wrapping money into paper and like with one thing with a note and being like, look what I've got. I think people are actually like craving genuineness for like music and shit.
But the problem with that is when you look at the charts, none of that does that make sense? It's like bro, there's a guy who literally went Gucci gang, and made number one. Like so, bro, as an artist,
you've got to do a bit of that.
This is what I'm saying, innit?
Yeah, for sure, man.
But so obviously in Ayr, like I was still doing that, and then I remember I was at college because I was doing sound production at college.
Right.
Worst course of my life, I'm gonna just put that out there, like because it was nothing that I thought it was gonna be like. Do you know what I mean? Right. Especially being in Ayr, and you're a rapper, and everyone in your course are in a band. Do you know what I mean? Like you're just like.
Oh, Wendy boys.
Yeah, like bro, I did not come to college to learn how to set up shit for a band. Do you know what I mean? Like, but anyways, that was cool. But one blessing came out of the college. So there was a lecturer called Ricky, and I remember standing out one day, and he's like, "Bro, there's this guy in the because I was an NC, and he was like, there's this guy in HNC you need to meet, Axel," and I'm like, okay.
Axel?
No, Axel.
Oh, right,
yeah, his name's Sam Barker, but his music production name's Axel, and I was like, all right, cool. And then he brought to me this like white specky guy, right? Like bro, like again, like no offense to like white specky people, do you know what I mean? But like I'm looking at him and I'm like, what can this guy do for me? Like bro, like what? And bro, that day changed my music because till this day I still work with Axel. And that was
really,
like 10 years ago.
Amazing.
Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, so like, it's mad. It's absolutely crazy. But Axel, like, he just started making all my beats and stuff like that. And see, when you bring someone else on board, you start taking it just that little bit more seriously. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Axel, he had a full setup as well. You know what I mean? He converted his loft and like his bedroom into like a full studio. Like, bro, hold on, sorry, man.
That's all right, man.
Like, bro, I mean, like, this studio was nice. Do you know what I mean? Even till this day, I've been in a lot of studio, and if I had an opportunity to still go back and record in his studio, I definitely would. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just sick. Do you know what I mean? And then off the back of that, like, we made an EP, not a mixtape, sorry, called Black Kid White City. So he produced all the track on that. Do you know what I mean? And then, but before that, actually, I'm gonna take it back. I was playing a show, and I remember this. I was coming back from my ex-girlfriend's house, right? And I'm like, I've got my music in my ear, because I don't listen to my music unless I'm preparing for a show. And I'm on a bus, and you know, times was tough at this point, like, bro, like, literally, I was like eating spaghetti, hoops and noodles for breakfast and all that shit like that. Like, I was skint, do you know what I mean? And I'm listening to my music on this bus, yeah, and I'm talking about big beamers, big money, and then, bro, it just, the penny dropped, and I'm like, yo, people know me. Do you know what I mean? I'm sitting here talking about like
people
having these cars
before,
and all that, and people are seeing me on a fucking bus. Do you know what I mean? And from then I was like, dead all that. From now on, it's gonna be me actually talking about shit that I've lived.
That must have took some set of balls back, man. Because like you're saying, like, you look at the charts, you look at examples.
Exactly,
like,
bro.
Who's out there talking about poverty and
this is what
like,
I'm saying. But then for me,
money, you know?
it's one thing, like, I'm quite happy that I learned at an early stage in air. Does that make sense? Like, I'm so happy about that, because then I made, like I say, Black Kid White City. And the reason that was called that was like, it was a play of word on Kendrick Lamar, what's called Good Kid, what's Bad City.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was staying in a place called White City at the time, and I was the only black person there. Does that make sense? Like,
so you were literally like
the black kid in the White City.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So that tape dropped, and I remember we done like a wee show before it. Like, it was just me and my boys. Like, we was repping RTW at this point, and we put on a show, and yeah, it was just mad. Like, the amount of love that I got for it was just crazy. It was one of them that we had like over 100 people try to cram into this small room, and I was like, fucking hell, man. Like, yo, people actually like my music. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, okay. And it was one of them ones where a lot of them were friends, innit? Like I'm gonna keep it buck, you know what I mean? A lot of them were like my friends who have to support. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but like, there was just people who just came off the hype of that. But anyways, we done that, and then that kind of got the ball rolling in air. But again, air isn't Glasgow. And at that point in time, I thought Glasgow was where you had to be if you wanted to be a musician. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But a lot of things happened in that time period, and my music got better, but my life experiences got worse. Does that make sense? So like, I started seeing a lot of crazy shit, which I could then relay back into my music, which made my music slap. Do you know what I'm saying? It was just mad. But then...
did you ever go like sort of seeking so crazy shit, thinking like, well, it's all right that I do this crazy, like justifying it because I can fucking, it's meaning that my music's good? And,
but that's the thing though. It wasn't a case of the music. It was the case of like my life situation. Like it's like when you end up being put in a position where you've got you think you've got no other option than to do X, Y, Z, you just do it.
Yeah.
And then you end up tying it back to your music, because my music became therapy to me. Do you know what I mean? It became something that I could write how I felt without writing a diary, basically. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like, so that slapped. And then I remember trying to get into Glasgow. So I tried to break Glasgow for ages. Like, I reached out to all the guys who were like big in Glasgow, and bro, they all aired me. Like it was horrible. Do you know what I mean? Like bro, like I'm sending out demos. Like I'm like, bro, jump on this, and they're like, yeah, I'll jump on it. And then like 6 months later, I'm like, yo, and they're like, nah. So I was like, all right, cool, say nothing. I'm a petty guy. Like I'm gonna put that out there. I am fucking petty.
How me when you said that,
bro, I am.
No harm as well.
I am petty, and when people aired me, what that made me think to myself was, I'm gonna work hard to be in a position where these guys now ask me.
Yep.
And the only reason I want them to ask me so I can say no. Does that make sense? That's how petty I am. Do you know what I mean?
I can respect that, man.
It's a level of pettiness that deserves a bit of respect.
Bro, literally, I'll be honest, innit? And the only guy who actually gave me an opportunity was Pac. And at this point in time, Pac was actually kind of like a big deal in Glasgow. So that meant a lot to me. I was like, yo, like this guy, like bearing in mind, like Pac's younger than me, do you know what I mean? But like, I'm reaching out to a man who's younger than me, like, yeah, yo, bro, let's work. Yeah. And bro, literally, he jumped on a track and we done Savages, and then that banged. And that kind of got my name somewhat, you know, just there. So now I knew people in Glasgow already kind of know who I am, but that was it. And then, again, shit happened, took 2 years off. Like, I literally just had to go, well, I won't say I had to go find myself. I just ended up doing dumb shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, ended up like drinking and doing everything else in between and grafting and all that shit like that. And it meant that I took like 2 years off music. Like, bro, like I was still bumping the same shit over and over again. And people were like, yo, Bemz, when you coming back? And I'm like, yeah, nah. You know what I mean? Like, and I just left it.
What was that for? Was there a reason that you kind of like distanced yourself for the music?
Well, it was because like I was doing stupid shit. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'm out here like, you know, like fuck it, I was selling drugs and shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was just like, I ain't got time for that. Like I'm selling weed, I'm making money. I'm like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm thinking I'm big boy now. Do you know what I mean? Like, see, especially when you come from like poverty and you ain't got no money. So when you start getting money, it's so easy to get lost in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, yeah, fuck everything, bro. I'm like, yeah, music's just there, innit? Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's cool. You know, what's good? That went well. What's good for a bit, and thank God I managed to get out. Like, and I got out well. But during that time period, I moved up to Glasgow for the first time. So like, when I came to Glasgow, I was hanging about people doing music, but like I wasn't trying to do music. Does that make sense? Like I was just like coming out, I was drinking, like, you know, getting on it, like mad. And there was a woman, or a person, sorry, called Sarah Wild. I don't know if you've heard of her. Yeah,
I've heard of Sarah before.
Yes, but Sarah was the first person to like kind of sit me down and look at me and was like, you've got talent. And stop being a fucking idiot. But I'm like, who the fuck are you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, who are you? Like, move, man. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, and it burnt a bridge. It was kind of between us. Do you know what I mean? Because like Sarah could see something in me that I couldn't see myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But what's called like that was to do with all the other stuff that I was going through, like my mental health being all over the place and just everything in it. But then I ended up moving back to Ayr because like I had to get away from Glasgow because I wasn't doing anything in Glasgow apart from like drinking and getting on it. You know what I mean?
Being a boy.
Yeah. So I moved back to Ayr for like 6 months. But during that time period, I obviously met like my ex and we kind of spoke about me coming back up. But I was like, if I'm coming back up to Glasgow, I need to do this right. Like, I'm like, I just have to do it right. Do you know what I mean? And I came up and was hell for a bit. I didn't really mingle with anybody, like, because I realized, you know, it was when I was mingling with people, that's when I was like fucking it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was just like, you know what, head down. So again, this has been 2 years. I've not released any music in 2 years. Do you know what I mean? And again, I bumped into Pac at a train station after my work and it was just random as hell. Like, it was so random. And he's like, I'm going studio. And I'm like, well, bro, I need to go home and walk my dog, but I'll come see you after. And I fully believe he thinks I was talking shit. You know when you see someone, you ask them to do something, they're like, oh yeah, man, I'll just nip up the road.
Let's do next week.
And I was like, no, bro. But luckily, like I said, I went home, walked my dog, and I phoned him and I went into the studio. And that was the start of my musical journey in Glasgow. Because when I went into the studio, I met like all the guys at Fusion, like big love to them guys because like them guys kept me grounded, you know, like I was like, spitting to them and they were like, yo, Bemz, like, shit, like you are sick. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, shit, thanks. Do you know what I mean? But during this time period, again, like I said, I wasn't even getting ready to release anything. I wasn't even, like, I've been writing and stuff, but I wasn't releasing. And then lockdown happened. And then, but this is the thing, lockdown to me was a blessing. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I now had all this time, all this energy, And then I just started going studio, recording in one of my boys' house, and we recorded 6 tracks, right? And that was Saint of Lost Causes. So that was the
tune, man, and it's a cracking tune as well.
Well, you see the thing, yeah. So see the Saint of Lost Causes. It was like the whole concept of behind it was basically mad. It was like, you know, so obviously like you said, what's called, my middle name's Jude. Mm-hmm. And St. Jude is the patron saint of lost causes.
Right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and obviously in those 2 years, I felt like
a lost cause as well.
Bro,
like,
I was a lost cause. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then the first track we kind of recorded was Bando to Studio, and that's like an AXA thing, and it's so funny because that track, it still gets me in trouble today. Like I remember I was doing a thing with BBC, and I had to perform Bando to Studio, and I had to convince these people that I wasn't still a drug dealer. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right,
I had to be like, bro, that's literally what the song is about. The song is talking about going from the trap life to the music life. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but again, I didn't expect that tape to do bits. Like I'm gonna keep it 100%. But the thing that was blessed about that, like Paul, like you know, like during that time period, I found out I was gonna be a dad as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, you know, with the help of that and the help of, again, if you don't mind me saying, the man sitting right there, I was able to kind of just, you know, like try channel my emotions and stuff towards something that was important. Do you know what I mean? And that was music. And I thought to myself, like, yo, every money I spend on music, I'm taking money away from my daughter's mouth. Do you know what I mean? So I've got to make sure that I do this hard. Do you know what I'm saying? And then, a few fuck-ups happened in the process of that, and it led to me meeting one of my mentors, Kwame, and he helped me. And yeah, and long story cut short, like, yeah,
that's really
like literally, like I put out the tape, and everything.
It just kind of.
I mean, this is something that, like,
man.
you know, the sort of general sense of your story is something that I'm just never going to tire hearing it, because lockdown has been such a challenge for all of us. But we have the privilege of talking to people every week who are actually like, it drove me, it made me better, it forced me to confront myself and actually like build something and explore my creativity and actually come out the other side of it. And like, all power to you, man, because that's, you know, that's fucking hard.
Oh,
you know
yeah, but 100%. But like for me, again, it's like another thing that I try, like at that point in time, it's like I started thinking to myself how to work smarter and not harder. Does that make sense? Like, and it was like, I'd done the hard work basically. Now, how am I going to be smart about it? Do you know what I mean? And I said this to a lot of the boys. I'm like, bro, there's never going to be an opportunity, that you're getting paid, to chase your dreams. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
unfortunately, that's the truth,
it's
isn't
the
it?
truth, What's good, because I've always said this, like, growing up, I'm like, poor people don't have the privileges to dream.
Well, this is something that I was actually like really caught my ear, and I didn't want to interrupt the story to go off on a tangent, because that's like one of my failings as a podcaster is we end up on a tangent and then we miss out on the story. Like, the story's incredible. Like, the first bit that really caught my ear was you were like, he was the first dude with a MacBook. Yeah. And you're like, technology has enabled like a lot of people engage in like making music. Like, you can make a professional sounding music track with a laptop. You couldn't do that 20 years ago. You just couldn't. You had to pay big money to go to a big recording studio. But even still, like, working class kids, how many working class kids have got a fucking MacBook at their disposal? And you were lucky to meet somebody that just happened to have a MacBook, man. And then you met somebody else that their parents could afford to renovate the loft into a studio. And it's almost like, if you didn't meet these people, and how many other kids are out there that are like potential superstars in the making, but just don't have the access to that fucking laptop to make their dreams come true.
And that's the biggest fucking problem, like what I'm saying, innit? It's like people who come from, you know, deprived backgrounds or like you know, like poor areas or whatever, you don't have the privilege to dream. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because when you start dreaming, you realize you've got to sacrifice a shit fucking load, bro. Do you know what I mean? And if you don't sacrifice it, your parents have to sacrifice it. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's called, like, you hear like footballers talking about how their mum had to drive them like 6 hours a day just to go training. Does that make sense? Like, and it's mental. Do you know what I mean? But I try to put this knowledge onto like a couple of the boys, innit? I was like, yo, listen, it's lockdown. The people we're trying to impress, them motherfuckers aren't doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like they're sitting in the house.
Yeah.
Like, let's just get the music to them. And they're like, nah. So I was like, cool, that's fine. Do what you need to do. So I just went on and I done what I had to do.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And it worked. And because it worked now, it's like, it's why I can sit in a space like this and someone will say that I'm like the rapper of Glasgow or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Which to me is still weird. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, shit, like I ain't really do nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like I just rhymed on a beat. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's led up from that. It's led to now people generally like looking at me as like, you know, as someone who's kind of like got the ball rolling. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's off the back of, again, not trying to blow my own trumpet and stuff, but like I would never see anybody without. So like all the boys know they can phone me and be like, yo, Bemz, like I need help with this, and this. And I'm like, yo, let's go.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Because for me, it's like being able to, I'm not the scene. Like, and plus, I'm not from Glasgow. Like I like to say that clear. Do you know what I mean? So like being an outsider and being able to like watch the scene from an outside perspective.
Aye.
And like what I'm saying, like being able to shout people from back in the day and them man's air me, it's like all these things teach me what not to be. Does that make sense?
Aye.
It's like, because I know what that feeling was like when I was reaching out to someone and they just aired me in it. Do you know what I mean? So like now I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm like, there's anything I can do to help you, hit me up. And if I can't help you, I'll try my hardest to put you onto someone who can.
Man.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Pay it forward.
Well, bro, 100%. Because like I say now, Kwame, for example, Kwame had no, like, so Kobe Nyami was like an idol to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
See when you talk about the rap scene in Scotland and shit like that, like when I was, you know, younger, like you say, it was all your Stick G's and your Mad Hat McGaws and all them things there. I did not see a black face in a Scottish hip hop or rap scene. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
And then there's this guy called Kobe in the Army who's like fucking killing it. Do you know what I mean? Like fucking doing bits. Like, and I was just like, yo. But and I remember DMing him because like I supported him in November 2018 in Stereo. And that was a big thing for me because I was like, imagine being able to like go on stage with someone that you looked up to kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And I was like, fucking hell. And bro, like, see, after I finished the performance, I went into the crowd and I'm standing there and I'm watching this guy and he's coming out with like a band, bro. Like, I mean, a fucking band, like keyboardists, trumpets and all that. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Do you know what I mean? And then they start playing because he's a rapper. Do you know what I mean? Like all the other rappers that I've seen just turn up with like a mic and a DJ. Do you know what I mean? And this guy's got a full band and I'm like, yo, so I was gassed. And I followed them on Insta, obviously, and he didn't even follow me back. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I was like, we got into a position where it was like when we was recording an EP, there was a song that was on it, Goldie, which ended up dropping separately, but there was like miscommunication with Goldie and it meant that Goldie had to get taken off the EP. And I went to this producer's house and he was like, it's so funny, he was playing me music from his folder that there wasn't going to do anything with. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And we're just going through it. And then I hear this guy called Patrick RPZ and he's like, all of a sudden, and I'm like, what is that? I was like, what?
So that was just
fuck?
an accident?
Accident, bro. Right. Accident. It wasn't even planned. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, what the fuck is that?
Wow. And
then the guy was like, what? And I'm like, play that back. And then they went back in, went to the session file and played it. And I was like, oh my God, that is a fucking banger. Mm-hmm. And I'm taking that beat. And he's like, cool, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, see, Patrick, I only met like the guy who's on the hook. I didn't even know him. I'd never even met him before. Do you know what I mean? But me and him are working on a song, and he didn't even know that I took the song. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
But yeah,
I think stuff like that actually happens more than what people actually think.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100%.
People just like, oh, they must have been in the studio, like doing this, doing that, and it turns out that somebody recorded it like 5 years ago, and then it ended up a track. But see, the first time that I listened to any of your music, I remember specifically listening to Goldie on Apple Music and just saying to my missus, look, all like you can listen to, and I know I complimented your voice, is like there's so many people that are good singers, good technically at stuff. See, when you listen to music, see if they don't have a hook, it's fucking pointless, man. And see the amount of bands, local and music acts that you listen to stuff and you're just like, they're really good, but there's just no hook. And that's like the gold dust. That's people can not be good at singing and have a good hook and make it,
and it's catchy,
but without that hook, you're not really. And when I heard Goldie, I was like, pure, that's got a hook. This has got a proper hook. Like, not even just like that's a decent hook. This is a proper hook. Like pure, that's so good. You know.
See, when you talk about that, the only way Goldie wouldn't have happened again, like Goldie's the way that came about was just crazy as well. So like I used to work in Cruise, and there was this girl called Beth, and she used to work in flannels in Silverburn, but she came to work in our store in Glasgow. And she was cool, like, so I love Stone Island and that, right? And then this girl comes in head to toe in Stony. I'm like, yeah, legend, innit? And then I followed her on Insta, and it turned out that we had a mutual friend, which was Panache, who made the beat for Goldie. And I was like, fucking hell, small world. Do you know what I mean? Like, blah, 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 cool, that was fine. But then she was starting a clothing brand called Goldie. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So we were talking, and then we were like, well, if you're going to do a clothing brand, why don't me, you and Panache meet up and we'll make a track for your clothing brand or to launch it with. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And I remember going out to Pirates and we're sitting there, and Panache had 2 tracks out. And one of them was the one that I actually thought we were going to use. And then he was like, yo, Bemz, hear this one, innit? And it's like, dun, dun, dun. And I'm like, do you know what I mean? And then I'm trying to think about how I'm going to put Goldie into a track. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, catch me rolling with a bad B. Yeah, man, come through looking all Goldie, huh? And I was like, oh, okay. And then we got that down, and bro, that was it. Literally, like, bro, it took us like 2 sessions. Yeah. And we got it done.
Yeah. And that's like the pure, all the good stuff.
Yeah, bro. And for me, and it's so crazy because like, when I make songs, I don't make songs and expect them to be hits. Does that make sense? Like I just make music because I like music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And bro, see when Goldie dropped, yeah, everybody was like, shit, okay.
That's serious. Yeah.
We need to take this guy a bit more seriously than what we were.
So do you think that the rejection that you got, because as much as you were like, I'm petty, right? Might be true, you know, but it seems like that initial rejection that you got for people when you're sending out your demos and stuff has kind of like fueled the fire.
Oh yeah,
you know.
100.
So you're like thankful for that, you know, like
bro,
just be like, fucking, I needed that rejection, because it's like part of my own personal experience of being in music was that when I was super young, we did something that was like almost like, you look back at it, it's like good for your age. So people were like, this is great. But it wasn't. It was just good because I was 17. A 17-year-old guy going, do you want to hear my song? People being like, what, that's you?
It's you, yeah.
But I think that, you know, there might have been something to people being like, it's not quite good enough. You know, you need to keep pushing. Whereas you've got that sort of like nothing back for people, and it's been like, well, fuck them. I'm going to do this,
bro,
you know?
Literally. Like, and I speak to one of my friends, Antonio, and we actually talk quite a lot, and it's like, he was one of like my childhood friends. Like, he's one of like the oldest friends that I've ever got. And we actually sit back and laugh about things because we're like, see all this shit that we went through, is like, would you change it? Probably not. Do you know what I mean? Like, because like, again, don't get me wrong, like shit, I would love to have been born into a rich family and all that shit like that. But like, see, for the person that I am now, I'm so thankful for all the madness that happened, because it's what's influenced me to be the man that I am right now. Do you know what I mean? Like the man sitting here talking to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Man. Like, and it's crazy because obviously some of the shit is just fucking, it's just nuts, innit? Do you know what I mean? But like at the same time, it's like, yeah, like being all rejected, for example, I was like, yeah, cool, fuck yous, let's go. Do you know what I mean? Like finding out I was gonna be a dad, I was like, let's go. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, it's that fight or flight thing, innit? And I'm the type of person who, I will fight. I think that's it's as simple as that.
In your music as well. I can't remember the name of the track, but I listened to one and there was it was just like the personification of that attitude about it. Let's fucking do it, man.
Yeah,
like,
well,
I think it's reflected in your work.
Well, it came out. So there's a song called Quarantine Freestyle, and that track was personal to me because like I said, I've came to Glasgow, and Glasgow is supposed to be this place where, you know, your music is supposed to thrive, where, you know, and again, see the disappointment of being in air and Stranraer and being like, I have to get to Glasgow, and then making it to Glasgow and being like,
what? Aye.
That's one of the points I'd like to pick up on for when you were talking about your story, is like the scene and sort of gigging live, and like like Paul, we went to club gigs all through our teens, our 20s, probably into our 30s, and
probably too long.
Probably too long. We were sitting at the back of Sleazy's basement with like jars of piss water and watching bands like Pure. You know what I mean? But like the R&B, like rap, it was a very sort of specialised, very sort of niche sort of thing in Glasgow, where the Lokies and the Stegs and that were putting on like specific nights in like big venues. I think, did I see just prior to lockdown, it was St Luke's, I think you were booked in for?
Yeah, no, it was good. I done a thing for Resonant. Yeah, in there, yeah.
So I mean, for a shed in Stranraer to somewhere like St Luke's, like, what's been your experience of being out and actually like gigging in Scotland? Because it doesn't sound like, as you say, Ayr and these places don't sound to me traditional hotspots for like this type of scene.
Yeah, but then this is what's crazy though. Like people in Ayr are fucking crazy. like I'm gonna just keep it 100%. Like we turned up to a gig in what was it? Was it King Tut's? Yeah, I think it was Tut's. And we rolled in like 40 man deep. Do you know what I mean? Like, and yeah, people from Ayr, like, see when it comes to, you know, like
getting behind it.
Oh my God, bro. Like this is what, like, it's why I back Ayr, is why I will always say I'm from Ayr, because like them guys, like, bro, bringing 40 people from Ayr on a train to come listen to me perform is just mad. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, the thing is, it's not even going from a shed. Yeah, like, I mean, it's not even going from a shed or to be in this. I went from a guy who couldn't rap in front of people
with a fucking sheet over your head at a house party.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, like, bro, to headlining King Tut's. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like people, sometimes people look at me and they may think that I'm arrogant. Well, really, I'm not. I'm like, is this shit fucking happening? Like, is this even real? Like, and the gigs in Ayr weren't obviously as great as they could be just because it's Ayr. But see, when you took them out of Ayr and put them in a space in Glasgow, oh my fucking God, man.
Aye.
Yeah, it was mad.
Yeah, I think when you do something like Tuts, like I remember like my first Tuts gig, and I remember like that sort of way where you'd be like, do you want to come see my band on Friday? And they'd be like, where are you playing? You'd be like, playing in Tuts, and they'd be like, oh man, I'll be there.
We'll go,
you kidding? Like, fucking right. It's almost
go.
like either like, well, you must be legit if you're in King Tuts. So,
but bro,
I think people like for like places like Ayr, if they can see that somebody for where they are is going to come to Glasgow and show the Glasgow guys how it's done, they're like, yes, let's go, you know,
bro,
let's
and that's the thing. We even smashed it in Cat House. Do you know what I'm saying?
Really?
That's not a venue I'd have expected to have been having rap gigs.
Exactly, bro.
You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't think I'd be playing in Cat House ever.
Aye.
But Asteroid Boys, they were supporting Enter Shikari.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so they were supporting Enter Shikari in the Barrowlands, but the night before, they had a gig in the Cat House.
Right.
Yeah. And here comes, Big Bemz on the support and that. I'm like,
so what?
Yeah,
who's Astro Boys?
Asteroid Boys, they were a fucking like punk grime rap band from Wales.
Right,
do you know what I mean?
Right.
Bro, they're sick.
Sort of hybrid, like
yeah, bro.
Like gallowsy type thing.
Bro, it was just mad. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? Like, the Cat House, like, everything I've heard about the Cat is filled with goths and that. Do you know what I mean? Like, but then, like, because again, like I said, I didn't know the Cat House. I didn't know Glasgow. I'm from Ayr. Do you know what I mean? But I'm like, Trips, are we going? And they're like, yeah, we're going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we just turned up and just smashed it. Do you know what I mean? And they were like, right, thank you very much. See you later. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but off the back of that, it ended up with me hanging about with Enter Shikari because the Asteroid Boys then invited me back to the show.
Right.
At the Barrowlands, and then got us like backstage and all that, and then Enter Shikari, Rio, whatever his name is, was doing a DJ set at the Cat House that night.
Right.
So we ended up going back there and just chilling backstage with them, and I'm like, oh my God, like,
super,
this is mad.
man.
Sounds like the experience here, that the scene you've got is just overwhelmingly positive, man, which is good because, as I say, it's tough out there. You know what I mean? So to have such positivity,
but here's the thing, though.
Awesome.
You only see the positive side. Does that make sense? Like I say that to everybody. Everybody thinks that, like I just clicked my finger and I got here. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody sees the sleepless nights, like the literally like cracking my brain because I can't finish a track. Do you know what I mean? Like when depression hits and I'm just like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not doing. Nobody sees that. Does that make sense? It's like And again, and it's because like it wasn't until recently that I actually started being able to be open about, you know, okay, this isn't all
sunshine
beautiful.
and roses.
Yeah.
Do
you know what I mean? Like it's only been recently, you know what I mean? That I've been able to generally.
We had a guy on the podcast that went out. I don't when with this, so this will be a couple of weeks back, and I think like we were talking about relating to similar experiences about when like your creative thing that's like basically everything that you live for and is like this is my passion in life almost like sort of turns against you, and it's always in these depressed moments you're almost like I can't even look at it like and I think what I'm hearing is that you've sort of like forced yourself through the moments to actually be like I need to do this, like I need to do this, and that is the graft, dude, you know.
It literally is where it's at. It's like just being able to just be like by any means necessary, man. By any means necessary.
Do you ever get, I mean, I know that we're looking to like shit on people, right? But do you ever get any sort of skepticism in the gigging scene, promoters or whatever, like what you doing here, like that type of shit?
Well,
like when you turn up to Tuts or anything and they're like, what?
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember I turned up to a gig and I was the headline act, but Dope Sick Fly was the support.
Okay.
And I forget the other band. Oh my God, I feel so bad.
Nah, fuck them, they were shite.
I forget their name, but like that gig there, I didn't even need the promoter or to look at me to make me feel weird. I felt weird. I'm like, how the fuck you got a rapper headlining this shit and it's fucking bands, bro? Like, I'm like, how the fuck does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? Like, and see Dope Sick Fly, bro, that band is sick. Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, it was one of them that after they came on, I'm like, I didn't even have to be on this bill. Do you know what I mean? You could have gave someone else who was an up-and-coming band or indie music person
an opportunity,
and give Dope Sick Fly the headline because them motherfuckers deserve it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and yeah, so it's been like that, what's called for a bit. And again, I think it's because, Scotland is too far behind in the hip-hop scene. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think this is what me and Matt are getting at is that, you know, like up until maybe the last 4 or 5 years, we've took a big step back. But up until that point, I would be going to a gig, I'd be going out into the city centre at least once a week, you know what I mean? And there was never anything.
This is part of the thing that I'm trying to change, and I'm like, I live life now by be the change you want to see kind of thing, do you know what I mean? So like now when I'm now in a position, it's like, if you're trying to get me, you've got to bring someone else on board because the scene, the Scottish creative scene has been fucked for a long time. Does that make sense? In the sense of like, bro, my guy, why is it only people who wear, like I tweeted this and I got a lot of fucking stick for it, like people who wear like Doc Martens and strum a guitar that always like I'm like, if the people, like the power that be, within the Scottish creative scene, actually done a fucking job, they would realise that there's so much untapped talent in Scotland that it's disgusting. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it is fucking mad. It's like, there's so many people who are just there. And like, it's as if we get discriminated against because of the type of music we choose to make. Does that make sense? And that pisses me off so fucking much. Do you know what I mean? Like I had a guy hit me up the last day. He wanted to promote my show, and I told him no. I was like, no. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because you don't care. And he's like, what do you mean I don't care? I'm like, listen to what I'm saying. You don't care. So why am I going to give you just another payday? Nah.
Yeah, mate.
Do you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It's like, fuck you, mans, because you mans have been shitting on us for a minute. Do you know what I mean? Like, and no offense to everyone.
Somebody can sell a ticket off your name.
Bro, 100, but bro, it's only been this year, that I've actually been paid. And it was Resonant was the first show that I got actually paid
for. You didn't need to pay to play.
So see the other all the other gigs, they're like, well, bro, you weren't paid, here's tickets.
Yeah.
Go sell those tickets. You take a cut and you give us this cut.
I'll tell you the most hilarious thing that's ever existed. These fuckers calling themselves promoters because they promote nothing other than their venue. Like they
Simple
expect
as that.
And I don't know if people are listening to this and maybe they don't understand what happens when you go and see a band play is that each one of the bands gets, say let's just say the capacity of the venue is 400 and there's 4 bands, they get 100 tickets each. And if they sell 20 tickets, that goes back to the venue, and then they get to keep a fraction of the rest of the tickets. Yeah. Some deals are different, some are better, some are worse. But, you know, like the big boys, they literally take like 80% of that ticket sale. There was nights where I would be handing 1,500 quid into venues, and me and the 5 guys in the band have got like 200-300 quid between us.
Nights we were walking into like places like Tuts, 60, 100 on a Tuesday night, and there's just nobody else there. You know what I mean?
I was in a band that sold out King Tuts, and we get 350 quid.
Yeah, but
and there was fucking 5s in that band. That's not even enough to go for a night out.
100%.
You know, and I think like it's important so that people realise that when like young music people, they basically just bend you over the fucking table and rinse you and say like that there, while people are like, oh, I'll promote your gig. They're not promoting anything. They're basically going, you're going to sell 100 tickets, that's going to make me 400 quid. Cool.
Thank you very much.
Come on and come on and we'll do it, man.
Yeah,
and it's
and
shocking.
for me, you go do that with anyone else, but don't try that with me. Don't try that with me and mine. Mate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I spent years basically licking arses at big promoters.
Bro, I've done it though.
You know?
Like, listen, I'll put my hand up. I'm not saying that I got here and like, bro, I've had to do them graphs and all that shit like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I had to.
But you've learned the lessons for them.
Oh hell yeah, bro! Like,
you know what I mean?
Like again. The one thing that I say, and like my new motto in life, or my mantra or whatever that I live by nowadays, is be the change you want to see. Does that make sense? Aye. So I can't sit here and chat the most about this and then still be taking
exactly, for sure, mate.
Yeah, because then that makes me a hypocrite. And there's one thing that I try to be, and I'm still working towards it. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to be as open as possible and as honest as possible that with me as a person. So it's like what you see is what you get. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
And for me, these mans need to start putting respect on our fucking name, man. You know what I mean? Especially like the Scottish rap scene. Like bro, for me, it's still mad. And again, no beef to Low-Key, for example. No beef to Steg G. No beef to any of them mans over there. But it's still mad when people still think Scottish hip hop. They still think about them mans. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm like, what, are we not here? Like this whole scene that has been, you know, put together, like, are we not here? And, you know, and them man's think that they do enough by giving like Nova Scotia the Say Awards, for example. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, okay, so now does that mean that's like, there won't be another black rapper who wins that for another like 10 years? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, because I was in a meeting with one of them, like, I'm not going to obviously name them or whatever. And I just said to them, I said, why now? And the guy was like, what do you mean, why now? And I'm like,
been here.
Why now? Like, why didn't you, man, start thinking about this shit 3-4 years ago? Why now? And he's like, well, you know, because of like this. And I'm like, I will tell you why now. It's because Black Lives Matter shit's happened and you mans have realized that you mans have fucked it. You mans have been fucking it for a minute. Do you know what I'm saying? And now you just want to be seen like, look at what we do.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's like move. And it happens in the creative scene. And that's why the type of music that I do still ain't getting nowhere. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm not going to put it down solely to the fact that I'm black because that's another conversation. But it's like discriminating against a genre of music.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, bruh, like, you can't tell me that you can't find someone good enough to be fucking,
for sure,
like, playing, you know, like, in one of the stages in fucking Transmit. You can't tell me that there isn't a rapper out here who's doing that.
Yeah, for sure. You know and it must be even more frustrating, and we've spoke about this so many times, that
a lot of the festivals have got big problems on inclusivity and like,
for sure.
But in general, but
so what's it called? Like, I had this conversation, with one of my mentors, and it was like, you know, they said something that I'm not sure I completely agree with, but I can kind of see where they're coming from, and it's like a case of, I wouldn't want to be booked just off the fact that I'm black. I would like to be booked because I'm good enough to be booked.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, cool. But then if you still use that knowledge, use that logic, you try to tell me that it's not
good enough, then that's what I was going to say. But you also need to figure out whether or not it's not been included because it's not good enough, or it's not been included because, like you're saying, either the origin style of the music or the colour of the people's skin that's doing it.
And but for me, it just goes to show that the powers that be don't do their job properly. It's as simple as that. It's like you man are supposed to be out here promoting the Scottish music scene.
Yeah, all facets of it. Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
How comes a lot of man them who blow in the Scottish hip hop or the rap thing have now got to move down to London? Why?
Because it's a
Why?
recognised scene or whatever.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Why can we not just have our own recognised scene?
Are these mans going to tell Lewis Capaldi and the Snuts to move down to London?
Yeah, that's...
Hell fucking no.
They're going to promote the fuck out of it.
Yeah, do you see what I'm saying?
See what I'm saying? This is great. Come and listen.
This is number one for fucking Lothian in a lockdown. You know
see what I'm saying? But let's call it Buck though, you know.
Obviously.
Yeah, bro, again, like, big up them mans. I even tweeted, I'm like, the Scottish indie bands and the Scottish promoters and all that, them mans know how to get behind the fucking project. Like bro, like, them mans push that shit and they push it hard. Do you know what I mean? What's called Mowgli? Is that their name? Like
Mogwai.
Yeah, what's Mowgli? Yeah, edit that please. But like, I mean, look at them, you know, and look at the Snuts, look at Lewis Capaldi, look at all them things, yeah. And no one can tell me that there's not a young talent in Scotland in the hip hop scene that with the right backing and with the right nurture and everything won't be as big as them.
Well, I think it's really telling that, I mean, first of all, seeing a dude in an Aberdeen top rapping, I was like, actually, like, look at this, this is fucking class.
Yeah.
Right, what's the guy's name?
What's called Ransom FA.
Yeah. But it was like BBC One Extra, and you're like, so that's London, where's BBC Scotland? Like,
bro, it's
and then
recently.
they had that wee phase where before lockdown where they were having bands on like the 9, BBC Scotland. It's like, I think maybe again Loki was on it.
Yeah.
And what me and Matt are saying is that from your perspective, it just doesn't exist.
Of course.
You know,
bro,
like I think that's what we're saying about like,
you see
in the live
BBC,
scene, you know.
And the one thing I've got to give, I won't even say BBC. Like, I don't even want to chat shit about the BBC because their mans have paid me in it. So yeah, BBC. Do you know what I mean? But see if it wasn't because of, I think her name's Shireen and Phoebe.
Introducing,
Oh my, bro.
They have a good variety. They cover like
this
a
is exactly
spectrum
what I'm
of music,
saying, bro.
you know what I mean?
Them man's, off the back of them man's getting their own show, that's when you started hearing people like me on the radio.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like people in my scene on the radio.
Yeah, that's it.
And I was like, and it's why I will always pay, if it gets to a position where I'm like really, really good, I will always pay homage to those two women because and they didn't just do it for me, they done it for the scene. Do you know what I mean? Like,
there's absolutely zero surprise in my mind that it's been women that's done that. Genuinely, man, the amount of times where it's like male suicide awareness, like inclusivity, all of this shit, like trans rights awareness, it's always driven by females, and it's like,
bro, and again,
we need to step up, like as men. You know what I mean?
See, one of my biggest mentors as well, Helena, like.
Get Helena coming in on Saturday.
Every opportunity, bro. Every opportunity I get, I'm a use it. The same way I've got to say thanks to like Sarah and Kobe. I've got to say Helena as well because like she did not have any reason to help me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like she did not fucking know me at all. Do you know what I mean? Like we met because I'd done a podcast, and see off the back of that, like she's helped me so much. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and now I'm in a position where I feel privileged. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, see, when I now talk about the scene and stuff and that, and being able to be in this position, I've worked hard for so many years and stuff, but then I am now privileged to be able to have such good mentors. Do you know what I mean? Yep. But then that's what makes it even more annoying because I'm like, you know, like, it shouldn't have to be like that. Does that make sense? Like I shouldn't have to have made, you know, like big choices and met up with these people to be able to do this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so a little guy who's there making music because he doesn't have the right connects or whatever, he can't blow. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? He can't get his music heard. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm trying to do now. It's like, I'm not even big. Does that make sense? Like I'm not even big. Like, I'll be honest, but I'm gonna use my voice in whatever capacity I've got to shine light on what the problem is.
You're making waves as a new artist, dude. Like you've got the opportunity. I think you've got the opportunity to get there if you do the right things. The ball's in your court when it comes to this, because so many people get to this point here, which I think is called like the glass ceiling. Yeah. Which is like, you know, people know who you are. You're getting on the radio.
Like a closed club above that
honestly,
level.
man, I've seen so many people get to this point here and take that sort of like That's it. Job done.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't, man, go get balls deep right into it, man.
Well,
like,
bro,
I've
got a full EP that's ready to come out. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's good to hear.
But this is what I'm saying. See the night that Saint of Lost Causes dropped, I was in the studio. And my boy was like, mate, what the fuck you in the studio? Go celebrate. And I'm like, celebrate for what? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I ain't done shit yet. Like, music ain't paying my bills yet. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I still got to go work tomorrow. So what have I got to celebrate? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and just off the back of that, you know, we've managed to record another EP. And this EP is gonna be a madness. Like
right.
I would just.
Well, if you're saying that after the last one, I'm
bro, for
just,
me,
you know,
everyone that I've
man.
heard who I've played the EP to have been like, yo, what the fuck? They're like, we thought you were great then, but fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, it's because, like I say, this is gonna sound mad insane because unfortunately, I've been able to go through a lot of madness in that short period of time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like with becoming a dad and like breaking up with my baby moms and all that shit like that. And then being able to just channel it out on a 6-track EP, man.
So when can we roughly
expect? I can't tell you that. Yeah. It's soon. So I've got a single coming out on the 21st, which is like a drill thing, which like is completely new to me. You know
That's the collaboration you were tweeting about the other day?
Yeah. So I'm collaborating with Vagrant. So he's like an Aberdeen producer, again, who's been killing it for a minute. Like, me and him have been talking since 2016, and we've only just got around to actually working.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the drill track is mad because I don't do drill. Like, drill isn't me. But like, it's just me kind of flexing my muscle a little bit and be like, yo, if I really wanted to, I could. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think that see, is somebody that's been like, obviously like in a creative headspace and tried to be a creative and still try to do it like through podcasting, but gave up in the sort of music. I that is something about rap that I genuinely have just get so much respect and like admiration, but almost like a sort of jealousy that you can, like, people can, you know, like play a beat and people will be like, let's do something with this. Like, rock music doesn't work like that. Like, I could never have been like, here, man, like, play a guitar part and just went up and just started singing. You just can't. I could never have done it for a lack of confidence and for the fact that you just, I don't know, man, there's like a freedom. It's like, it feels like when you're watching people like freestyle, I know you've done a lot of like freestyling during lockdown. It's like an actual art form in itself. Aye. It's not the same as sitting down and working out a song and coming up with a hook. It's like stream of consciousness, like it's like a different place, man, and I'm so jealous of it, man. Because it's
like I'll keep it buck. Like, see, a lot of the stuff as well that I freestyle. I'll keep it 100. Some of it is wrote down prior. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, and I'll keep it hands up, bro. I'm not here to flex on nobody and be like, I'm like Eminem that can free. Yeah, some of it, I'll probably say a lot of it is wrote down, and then there's a little, you know, 2-2 bit that I'm like,
yeah. So it's like stand-up comedy maybe in that way, but it's getting pillars. It's getting like pillars, but then you get a gap for you.
And bro, and I'm gonna tell you this right now, there's bare rappers out there that do that shit but ain't got the balls to admit it. Let's just call it what it is, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? Like
even Eminem probably does it.
Yeah, bro. But you know, it is what it is, innit? Like I say, I'm just trying to be as open as possible in case one day someone comes up to me and like, yo, Bemz, freestyle for me, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. But I genuinely think that.
Let me just go right side real quick.
But I think that analogy, I like watching a stand-up comic that maybe he's got his pillars where he's like, I know that I need to start here, and here's the middle, and here's the ending, and keep it sort of without getting out of control with like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But like going to watch like a full, or like listening to a track that you've done is more like watching a sitcom, where it's like, you know, it's been done and it's polished. But there's something about watching a stand-up comic that's up there and just sort of flowing, and you're just like, this could go, go another way in a minute, you know.
But like, you watch somebody like Chris Rock, right? And Chris Rock talks and performs as if it's all just free flow. So as in every single word there is like scripted, because he did this show where it was London, South Africa, and LA, and they were cutting between the shows, and he was like, boom on every single, and I mean like to the millisecond he was on it, and you were like,
but then,
I always thought this guy just went out and spoke.
But that's the thing,
what I mean?
Like, is the beauty of being a creative is what you can make people think and believe. Does that make sense? Like it's as simple as that, because that's what I'm saying. Because people don't see the behind the scenes shit. So see when I come out and I'm like, everyone's like, oh shit, this guy is rapping. Little do they know that I spent like 10 weeks trying to master that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's how you portray it.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing within the creative industry. Exactly. That's the most, nowadays, the most important thing is, what can I make you believe?
Yeah, and I suppose like the beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and if they think that you're up there just coming up with this shit, they're going to be like jaw drop.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, this guy is so cool.
That's a beautiful thing in itself, that somebody could be sitting there and going, oh my god, this guy, and you could be in the crowd watching a rapper go, I know he's fucking bro.
I was trying to explain this to one of my boys who was listening to Kendrick Lamar, and I forget what song it was, and he's like, oh my god, like Kendrick Lamar's went like 2 minutes and he's not took a single breath, and I'm like, you fucking joking me? And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, do you think that motherfucker has literally spat for 2 minutes without breathing? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, bruh, you know what I mean? I'm like, there's a thing called an engineer. Do you know what I mean? And there's a reason why that sounds like he hasn't took a breath. That motherfucker been breathing. Do you know what I mean? Probably took him like 50 takes to fucking do that. Do you know what I'm saying? But
yeah, for sure.
It's how you make it seem.
And believe me, mate, I've edited podcasts where it's like, you know, I've took out complete conversations and made it look like a fucking seamless hour-long chat, just flowing backwards and forwards, and they don't know is like I've got like another 45 minutes of absolute bullshit footage. I'm just like, get that out, you know, and be like, how do you just sit there and have these conversations? You're like, we don't.
Exactly.
You know? We just make it look like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, man, we're an hour in, right?
Oh shit, really?
And like, usually we don't go for much longer than an hour. And
shit,
like
sorry,
I said,
no, man,
again, this is the best stuff. And like, you know, like I said, I think I asked you the first question. I've not looked at my notes.
You maybe get another one of the questions deleted on that list, but there's still quite a lot.
I was deleting
there.
stuff out as you answered it.
Oh, right, okay.
One of the things I'm going to ask, and it's just as we wrap up, like this week, and you've touched on this week is Mental Health Awareness Week. We've had previous guests. You were talking before about how your music changed for, you know, fronting about the life you want to live into the actual experience of your life. Is your sort of struggles with mental health, is that part of your music and what's coming next? Is part of what you're going to be exploring, as well as like the sort of societal stuff? Like
literally, like my mental health is me, and I am my mental health. Does that make sense? My music is my mental health. Like that's why I don't really tend to make a lot of happy tunes, because I am not a happy person. Does that make sense? Like if we're just going to call it a Hana, and like I say, the things that's happened since the Saint of Lost Causes has been fucked. Like I say, like finding out I'm gonna be a dad, but then breaking up with the mother of my child and shit like that. Like it ain't been good. Do you know what I mean? I ain't good. Do you know what I mean? But that energy and that negativity that I've been feeling, I've channeled it into 6 tracks, and the 6 tracks will tell a story about that, about what's been happening in my life for the last 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's simple. Like this is what I'm saying. That's why I'm kind of grateful for the bullshit that's happening in my life, because it makes for brilliant entertainment, I guess.
I think as well, and considering like rap as an art form, like storytelling is, I think, one of the things that we've definitely missed in recent years. Like something that I've always enjoyed about it, like going back to guys like Mike Skinner and all the rest of it, where you're listening, and there's like that day in the life type thing, which I really enjoyed. Like I think that's something that is perfect to like explore these themes with as well. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm definitely looking forward to catching that when it happens.
I mean, it'll be good. It'll be great. And like I say, if you relate to it, then please just pick up your phone and phone me, because that's the maddest part. Because I know I didn't write it from a place of happiness. Do you know what I mean? So if you can listen to that and relate to it, I'm here if you need a chat. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
how much do you feel that? Because here's the thing, right? I think it would be silly to think that podcasting is an art form, right? Yeah. I don't know if that's maybe me just talking it down because we do it.
It's usually just us sitting here talking shit.
Here's the other thing, like the amount of times that, and I think I can speak openly for both of us here, that either I'm not feeling it, or Matt's not feeling it, and then after an hour and 15 minutes, the guest leaves and we're both
Well, I
pure.
mean, I'm here today. I mean, what was that like when I came in? I've had a few ups and downs work-wise and shit, and I came into him the day, like, I've been, like, really struggling with, like, white-hot rage for, like, 3 days that I just can't put away. And, like, see, sitting down here having a blather and actually, like, talking away and, you know, having folk that we can relate to, like, it has made a difference. Like, I think we'll probably watch this one back and go, like, Matt probably didn't really engage in conversation till, like, 25 minutes in because I was, like, just pure... You know, get into the flow, get into, and then you know what I mean. Like, it is something that has helped me today.
But I think like every time we do this, it has this weird like relieving that you're just like, wow, man, I'm so glad that I did that, and it's like a creative process, and it gets you into a different state of mind. It gets you out of thinking and stuff like that. And I just like. Do you feel that your music is that kind of escape for you, that even getting your experiences out onto paper, like it just releases that,
again,
you know?
100%, because like I say, my mental health is scatty. Like I'm keeping it 100%. Like I'm bad. And when I'm bad, I'm bad. Do you know what I mean? So see, being able to have that outlet, it does wonders. Do you know what I mean? And being able to do things like this, you know, like, it takes a lot for me to come here and admit that I've got bad mental health. But I feel like it's also very important that I do it. Absolutely. Because like I say, it's being the change that I want to see. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, one of my boys phoned me up the last day and asked, because he wanted to go do therapy. And this is like a boy who I would never, ever, ever thought would do that. And I was so proud. Does that make sense? I was like, bro, like, the fact that you can even phone me and say to me, like, yo, Bemz, like, shit's gone left. I need this now. I'm like, bro, I love you for that. Do you know what I'm saying? And for me, it's being able to normalize that within our community. You know what I'm saying? Within the hip-hop scene and all that shit, because
there's a huge amount of bravado. There's a huge amount of like
it's literally
masculinity about it. You know what I mean?
But that's literally what it is, though. If you actually come to look at the hip hop scene and rap scene, it is all about like my dick's bigger than yours kind of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas I'm like, yeah, bro, that's on you. Do you know what I mean? But before you can see your dick's bigger than mine, go deal with your trauma first. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, because that's what makes us human beings. Like we're not just rappers, we are human beings. Do you know what I'm saying? Who have feelings, who has to go home and deal with XYZ, who've had to make sacrifices to be able to even be rappers. You know what I mean? Like, people don't understand how expensive this shit is. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, people are making sacrifices to be able to go sit in the studio to put their fucking feelings on a track. Do you know what I mean? That will probably only get like 100 streams, 200 streams. Do you know what I mean? Because they don't have the right tools and knowledge to be able to push it out. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So mentally, it's fucking draining. Do you know what I mean? But still we do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Still we do it. And still people don't really check on us and be like, how are you? Like, how actually are you? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I have that conversation with a lot of my boys now. It's like, I'll phone them up like and be like, what are you saying? They're like, oh, I've been doing this. And I'm like, no. What are you saying? Do you know what I mean? And then you get to the bottom of it and you talk it out like boy to boy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just trying to just normalize that, because I've noticed in myself that that's helped me a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, going therapy has been fucking fantastic for me, and being able to accept the fact that I've got mental problems, because then what that does for me is now when I'm having an episode, I can now spot it and say, okay, this has happened. And the reason that's happened is because I'm feeling like this. And see, being able to point that out and identify that, it makes life a bit
insight
easier.
into yourself is going to be like an absolutely huge weapon in your arsenal when it comes to your music as well now.
Well, yeah, 100%. Because now for me, like I say, see, when you're open and, you know, like you're just you, then everything feels okay. Does that make sense? It's like when I'm walking down the street, I don't have to pretend to be somebody that I'm not. Like, I don't have to wear like gold chains that I've got like cubic zirconias on them. Do you know what I mean? Like, to flex the fact that I'm rich and I've got diamonds when they're not even real diamonds. Does that make sense? Like, bro, I can dive out the house, no haircut, M4 hoodie on, like, because that's just me, and people now understand who I am and what I stand for, and that's just me, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm happy to wrap up there, man. That was beautifully put, man.
It was.
Feel like listening to you, like as you were saying earlier on, like you mentioned it, and I deliberately didn't want to mention it, that like we've done therapy together and stuff, and just hearing you say that you knew, honestly, mate, I'm fucking choking up, man. Like, beautiful thing for you to like to say,
bro,
man.
Like again, I didn't really want to bring it too much into it, but I owe a lot to you. Like. Keep it 100.
Yeah, man. Like, you owe me nothing, really. Like,
to you, I don't owe you nothing. But to me, like, you taking that time out during lockdown to be able to sit and speak to me through the worst, because that is the worst I've ever felt. And the tools that you gave me during those time periods meant that when shit was going the way they were going with my baby moms and all that shit like that, I was somewhat prepared for it. Now, I'm not saying that it didn't hurt or it didn't have...
of course, man.
It didn't mentally fuck me up.
Yeah.
Because there had to be a time where I had to phone you and be like, oh shit, I actually need to talk to you. Does that make sense? But bro, shit had been left off for a minute. But then you gave me those tools to be able to help myself for a large period of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Until it got to a point where I was like, whew, nah. Paul.
One of the big things that I say to
clients... You might not think you'll mention, but I'm happy to take out whatever you feel you'll mention. Backstage bill, drinks.
I got you.
I tell you, like, one of the big things that I say to people now, like, I mean, when I first engaged with yourself, I was looking for experience. So, like, the one thing that I want to say to you is that thanks for opening up, because without that, I wouldn't have got the experience to become an actual therapist. And now I've got, like, you know, like active clients and people that come and see me. And one of the things that I say to them is that, look, because I feel like this is a huge problem that people have, is that you're looking at things too big, and like you can't influence Westminster and Holyrood. What you can influence is the 4 or 5 people that non-respect you, because that's really all that we can hope for. Like, if you've got more than that, you're doing something special, right? If you're like, people are out there going, I respect this person, there's more than sort of like your immediate friends group. But the big thing I say to them is, see if you can focus on they 5 people, and then they focus on another 5 people, and then that domino effect happens. Like, you could have this mammoth impact by being open and honest. And see, like, that's why I was saying, like, I'm actually like welling up a wee bit, because hearing you say, I now talk to my mates, and and he's saying to me, go to therapy, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you. I'm like, this actually works. I'm not just talking shit to people.
Like 100.
So like,
100%.
Thanks, man. Like, I appreciate that.
I remember I told you, what's called the first conversation we had, I knew it was going to make or break a counselling session, in the sense of when we had to dive into the gutter about like my mum and all that shit like that. And I knew if I couldn't tell you about my mum and have it open, it was pointless.
It's pointless.
It was pointless, because then I would have kept everything back from you. You know what I mean? And I remember, like, I'm a big man. I cried. Like, bro, I mean, like, snot coming out my nose. Like it was bad. Like it was one of them ones, sore heads, like in the shower, and I'm still crying. But that was the best relief ever, because you 2 things that you said that, again, still stick to me to this day was, one, I don't even know if you remember saying it. Like, I said something about how you opened up wounds, and you were like, bro, those wounds never healed in the first place. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was just like, shit, yeah. Aye. And then you done that analogy of your emotion pot. You know what I mean? Yeah, or the bucket. Again. And I think about that on a day-to-day basis. See, when things start pissing me off, I'm like, what's in my bucket? Does that make sense? See, when I'm getting angry, I'm like, right, what is it I'm angry about that I've not actually dealt with yet? And then I'm like, okay, it's this, and this. All right, okay. So that's actually not really that important. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and it's all these practices that, again, have made me a better person. Like, and I'm not just saying this because you're here. Me being here is proof of that. Because you know how bad my mental health was. Mate. You know how bad it was. Sure. So imagine if you didn't help me and all this shit happened with baby moms and that.
Who knows? Who knows where you'd be, man? Who knows? Do
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, mate.
Like, and that's why I will say that I owe you for that, because you have made a massive impact in my life, whether you intentionally meant it or not. See, just being able to have someone that I knew I could speak to on a weekly basis and be able to vent. Because I've tried to do all therapy through the NHS, and them man's are dickheads. Like I'm sorry, I'm just gonna call it straight up.
Aye.
They're pricks. Like
a lot of the time it's about meeting the right person rather than the right service.
Thank you, 100%. It's like I remember the first time I went on therapy, she was like, you need to stop drinking and taking drugs. And I'm like, well, I can't because my mental health's fucked. Well, if you don't do that, I can't help you mentally. And I'm like, but if you help me mentally, I'll stop doing that. Yes. Do you know what I mean? And I just got belittled and I was just like, you know what? They were like, you've got to go to Alcohol Anonymous. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit, man.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Been there a few times myself.
Yeah, I was like, fuck them guys. I'm never doing that again. And I never went back to therapy until somehow, by fucking God's chance, someone retweeted this guy onto my timeline. Do you know what I mean? Like on Twitter. You know what I mean? And now I can sit here and be like, shit, yeah, this is my mental health, this is that. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
That's fucking awesome, man.
And I mean, honestly, mate, I couldn't have asked for anything more than that, you know? Like, really. I mean, that's made my fucking week, month, year. To hear somebody say that to me, man, honestly.
Yeah, but it's true.
Genuinely, man. Like, but aye, listen, what a fucking conversation this has been, man.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much, man.
I know. We say every time we have a good one, it's just fucking like blinked and it's over and done.
I can't believe that was an hour either.
I'm buzzing for this EP.
Nearly an hour and 20.
I'm buzzing for this EP. I'm absolutely buzzing to hear it. When 6 tracks and... Aye, man, like, thanks very much for coming in and talking to us.
I'm choking to get back out to fucking gigs again, so I'll be there, like, checking out the first time I can get you into, and man, like, that's going to be